When we're measuring ourselves, and we do 90 days, I don't know how you do it, Taylor, but we measure every 90 days. We only create projects that are 90 days long.
Right.
So at the end of the 90 days, we can look back and say, did we complete this project we set out to do? Right? Did we take the action that we said we were going to take? Ultimately, if we didn't achieve our financial result, that doesn't mean whether we were successful or not.
Right.
The success has to be gauged on us doing what we said we were going to do, because really that's the problem when it comes to law firm ownership or any business ownership for that matter, is 90% of the time you're not successful, not because you didn't have the right goal, but because you didn't take the action that you knew you needed to take. And there's a million reasons why we don't. But ultimately, if you continue to take the action, you will get there eventually. And that's really what the whole point of planning is, right? The whole point of planning is creating this action plan so that you're more likely to achieve the goal that you want, and get to where you want to go.
And I just wanted to kind of add to it. I think we need to normalize course corrections. I think people they're looking at their life and going, oh, I want a straight line. Well, if that's not normal, then why are we expecting it, right? And so coming back and saying, all right, so you made a choice this week, make a different choice next week, right? Like normalizing course corrections and saying that's acceptable. That's the point, because there are forces that are beyond our control. We work in human world. That's why I put in my retainer agreements. I can't guarantee an outcome on something because I know darn well there are too many variables that you can't plan for. I'm not producing a product. I'm producing a service. And so if you acknowledge the human in it, then you're going to recognize that course corrections are normal, acceptable, and should embrace, because who knows what's going to happen. Maybe the course that you end up at eventually, right, is going to have more value to you than the course you would have been in if you would have tried to stick to something that wasn't going to work in the first place. Right. So I always talk about on my podcast, Tactical Startup, I haven't done an episode for a while, but anyway, about, being flexible, right? Being fixed on your goals, but flexible on how you get there. Because if as a solo or even, a small firm, your greatest strength is your ability to change with what happens. Bigger firms have a harder time doing that because there's too many people involved. There's too many, turning around the Titanic versus turning around a speedboat, right? So use what works for you rather than trying to be the Titanic when you're a speedboat. Be the speedboat, right? Embrace that part of you until you can get where you want to be. If you want to be the Titanic, well, I don't recommend it, but anyway, if you want to be the Titanic or you want to be an ocean liner, then eventually you'll get there. But first, focus on being the best speedboat you can be to get as fast as you can be with it. And so that's just my other thing, is just flexibility, right? Like the waves are going to hit you. How are you going to respond? If something doesn't go your way, are you going to adapt, or are you just going to throw up your hands and say, no, never mind, forget it, I'm out, right? Like where's your mindset? Because the biggest difference between a successful business and an unsuccessful business is mindset, right? Money will come, but if you have a terrible mindset, people are still stuck in employee brain when they need to get their brains in business brain. And business brain handles problems very differently than employee brain does.